In a very unexpected turn of events, the trailer for Expeditions, a MudRunner game, has officially dropped, and we're gonna watch it together and then break it down. Now, at the start of the trailer, you can see one of the brand new environments as you fly around it in the new drone. We also see a very familiar face from SnowRunner. We actually see a couple of very familiar faces from SnowRunner, and one of the environments that they show in this trailer is a gorgeous, gorgeous desert environment. They highlight the new camera drone. They highlight how you can fly around a map and discover different objectives with the camera drone. You've got binoculars, you can zoom in on things, you can take photos. This Scout actually is running a bunch of new upgrades that we haven't seen before. The Anchor is also a new upgrade, and obviously they showed some details about it really, really quickly, and we're gonna go back through and highlight all of those. We also see the new metal detector. We see a depth detector for water. It's absolutely wild, actually, how that works. We also get a brand new look at the garage space and the customization, as well as this Arizona environment based on what looks like kind of the Grand Canyon. We see one of the new bases, we see some interior cam footage and more, and also a brand new vehicle that looks freaking wild. So let's dive into it. Now, before we go any further, I do want to make it very clear that as of now, we do not have an official release date. This is what the Steam page shows. It says release date 2024, and that is all the information we have about a release window as of yet, but make sure you stay subscribed to the channel so you can get the most up-to-date information when we have it. Now, let's start talking about the new gear. Now, the first new piece of gear that was shown was this, the Anchor. Now, you might look at this initially and say, what is that for? Because we have the winch. But I think what this is for supporting heavier vehicles, and it also allows you to maybe climb up steeper obstacles that you might not have been able to before. It says it supports up to 30,000 pounds. It's a quick install, and it's lightweight, convenient storage, which is an interesting way to describe that. So I'm curious as to how the lightweight convenient storage comes into play, and I wonder if that hints at the fact that there might be a deeper focus on your vehicle's total weight in Expeditions. That'll be really cool to see more of. And speaking of the winch will also be making a return, and based on some of the information that we have right here, it says it's going to be 20 meters in length, 15,000 pound load capacity, and it's made of waterproof synthetic rope, which that doesn't really make much difference in terms of gameplay, I don't think. But what does make a difference is how they say the Anchor supports up to 30,000 pounds, whereas the winch only supports up to 15,000 pounds, and I wonder if that implies that once it exceeds that 15,000 pound load limit, it might snap or break or just not work at all. Not quite sure, but we're gonna have to wait and see for more info on that. The next piece of gear that was shown in gameplay was this, the Echo Sounder. Now, this actually goes way back to the original Spin Tires days where they had a gameplay mechanic that would tell you the depth of the water, and this is very similar to that. And it has a 15-meter range, real-time AR mapping, and multi-stage warning system, which is also kind of interesting. And I'm sure that this plays into scouting missions where you will probably have to maybe discover the actual depth of the water, and that plays into the context of the mission. But we'll have to wait and see again for more info on how that works. But now we get to move on into the vehicle customization, which is something I am really excited to dive into. And right here, we're actually looking at some customization of the Con 39 Marshall. Now, while this does look very similar to the system we had in SnowRunner, it actually looks like we will be able to go in a bit more detail on what we actually want to have on our roof rack. And the roof rack looks like it's going to actually have more individual slots that we can kind of play around with. But as of right now, this looks very, very SnowRunner-esque, which makes sense because, again, it comes from the same development team. But I definitely think that they are starting with a good base, and I really want to see what it evolves into. And keeping with the customization theme, we see that same gameplay aspect here with this, frankly, massive tire carrier and fuel canister carrier combo where you can switch out the different things that you want on either side. Not that that's a new gameplay element, but I do like the way it's been implemented here. I think it actually looks really, really good, and while the menu system does seem very similar to what we've seen before in SnowRunner, it is really cool to see that system getting refined because I didn't think there was anything wrong with the prior menu system. So I think, again, they're starting with a good base, and it'll be interesting to see where and how far they can push it. Now this shot we're going to spend a lot more time on because this actually gives us our first in-depth look at what the gameplay, just the pure heads-up display will look like and what the gameplay experience will actually look like. And as I look at this, I'm, very obviously familiar with the way it looks based on, playing SnowRunner, but I love how they've kind of reworked the way the HUD looks because I think this is actually a really clean look. It's really direct and to the point. It shows you all of the information that you need to have, but also down there on the bottom of the screen, it shows you your inventory and your devices, which I'm sure will be things like, say, for example, the anchor or the depth checking device. There's going to be a lot of different, I think, elements of gameplay here that will revolve around the different tools that you equip your vehicle with and then how you use those tools throughout the missions. And by the way, can I say I am so happy to see a desert-based environment now, like actually in the vanilla game. That's super freaking cool. This trailer also showed off a very interesting looking vehicle that genuinely looks like it drove right out of a post-apocalyptic wasteland, although don't look at the way the wheels are interacting with the tires. I'm sure that that's something that's going to be ironed out at a later date, but it is kind of funny to see it. Now, for those of you that were worried in one of my last videos, there were a lot of people in the comments that were worried that this game was going to get away from the cargo hauling dynamic, and it doesn't look like they're going to be getting away from it at all, because here we can see clearly a truck with a flatbed designed to carry cargo, and so to me that shows us that cargo hauling is going to be making a return and should be a big part of the game, just like it always was. And I don't think they would have ever gotten rid of that anyway. I think they know their audience well enough that they wouldn't say, oh, we're gonna just nix cargo hauling entirely, because I feel like that would be one of the silliest things they could possibly do. So I highly doubt they would have ever done that. So I'm glad though that they did at least highlight something that was like, hey, for those of you that are fans of bigger trucks, we got one right here for you. Now let's talk about the drone. Now the drone has a 180-meter distance and a 50-meter height capability. Now the camera drone is going to be a really interesting thing because it's now going to be completely separate, it seems, from photo mode, although I am crossing my fingers and hoping that we still have a photo mode in the game, because I feel like, if they're gonna have this, they're gonna have a photo mode. They better have a photo mode. But the camera drone itself being a focus of the vehicle list and the sort of design choice is kind of interesting in the way they use it specifically as like an integral part of the missions, because they actually show gameplay. They show a lot of gameplay actually where you are using the camera drone to fly around the map and look for objectives, presumably to then drive to them and either pick things up or just locate them, or maybe catalog them, or maybe even take photos of them in sort of a photography as a gameplay dynamic sort of way. For example, right here, we actually see you looking through binoculars to discover an objective, and it says out there in the distance that there is an undiscovered zone, but that you have then discovered its location, and now you have to presumably drive to it, and this looks like it's on the Grand Canyon map, which I cannot wait to explore. I am sure that there's going to be so many people that are excited for that map in particular, because if you look at it closely, it looks like there's going to be a ton of areas around that map to just like go rock crawling and enjoy the environment, even outside of the objective-based missions. Now let's talk a little bit about something different. Let's talk about how this game does look quite similar to SnowRunner, and that could both be considered a good and or bad thing. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to say, what is this? It just looks like a reskinned SnowRunner. And I hesitate to take that viewpoint on it, because I want to see what the game actually looks like, feels like, and plays like as we, of course, get closer to release. And so I'm not going to call it anything that I haven't experienced in it yet, because for all we know, they could have completely overhauled the physics system, the terrain system. We have no idea just yet. And I'm sure that there's been a lot of work that's been going on behind the scenes. And I've got to admit, this announcement came earlier than I thought it would, because we only just recently found out about the game title being trademarked, and then now here we see a full-on release trailer, or rather teaser trailer, not release trailer, but initial teaser trailer to kind of get people excited about the game and get people talking about it and sort of give us a little bit of a teaser of what is to come in the future. But let me know in the comment section down below what y'all think of this new announcement, and if Expeditions is a game that you are going to be following and a game that you are going to be potentially picking up when it releases, or is it a game that you are more going to watch from the sidelines to see what happens with it and then make up your minds about it a little bit later, because there really is no wrong answer to this, and I'm really excited to see where this series goes now that it's sort of deviating from the original runner tagline, and now it gets to literally go in whatever creative direction they want to take it in under the Expeditions nameplate. But that's gonna do it for this one, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you are subscribed to the channel for any and all updates on this game and many, many others, and I will see y'all next time.